Hello, friends. Today, we are going to take a journey together into one of the most wonderful books ever written. You don't have to take my word for it, but I think you'll find something truly special within its pages. We are about to open the door to a story called To Kill a Mockingbird by a brilliant author named Harper Lee. This book is like a time machine that takes us to a different era, a different place, and introduces us to characters who feel as real as you and me. It's a story about growing up, about courage, and about learning to see the world through other people's eyes. So, find a cozy spot, open your mind, and let's step into this world together and see what adventures await us. Our story is set in a small, sleepy town in the American South called Macomb, Alabama. The time is the 1930s, a period known as the Great Depression. This was a time when many families didn't have a lot of money, and life moved at a much slower pace. There were no smartphones, no video games, and no internet to keep people busy. Instead, people spent their time on front porches, talking to their neighbors and sharing stories. The slow, hot summers in Macomb seemed to last forever, especially for the children, who had to create their own fun and adventure under the warm southern sun. This setting is more than just a backdrop. It's a character in itself, shaping the lives and beliefs of everyone in the town. Understanding the time and place is so important because it helps us understand the challenges the characters face. In the 1930s South, there were very strict and unfair rules about race. People were separated based on the color of their skin, and this created a lot of tension and injustice. The town of Macomb, with its old traditions and deep-seated beliefs, is a place where these issues come to the surface. As we read, we see how these societal rules affect everyone, from the children playing in their yards to the adults making life-changing decisions. It's a world that is very different from ours in many ways, but the lessons it teaches us about fairness and kindness are truly timeless. So, as we begin our adventure, I want you to imagine yourself walking down those dusty Macomb streets. Picture the big oak trees with moss hanging from their branches, and hear the quiet hum of the town in the afternoon heat. This is the world where our main characters live, play, and learn some of life's most important lessons. It's a place where childhood innocence meets the difficult realities of the adult world. By putting ourselves in this setting, we can better appreciate the journey that our young narrator, Scout, is about to take us on. Are you ready? Let's turn the page and meet the Finch family. At the heart of our story is a curious and spirited young girl named Jean-Louise Finch, but everyone calls her Scout. She is our narrator, which means we see this entire world through her bright 6-year-old eyes. Scout is a tomboy who loves to play outside, get into scraps, and ask a lot of questions. She isn't afraid to speak her mind even when she doesn't fully understand the complicated world of grown-ups. She lives with her older brother, Jem, who is her constant companion and protector. Jem is thoughtful and brave, and as he gets older, he starts to grapple with big ideas about what is right and what is wrong in their community. Scout and Jem are being raised by their father, Atticus Finch. Atticus is a lawyer, and he's one of the most respected, wise, and compassionate characters in all of literature. He is a single father doing his best to instill strong moral values in his children. Atticus believes in justice, integrity, and treating every single person with dignity, regardless of who they are. He teaches Scout and Jem not by lecturing them, but by setting an example through his own actions. He encourages them to think for themselves, to question things, and most importantly, to try to understand life from another person's perspective by climbing into his skin and walking around in it. The Finch family lives on the main residential street in Macomb, and their world is filled with interesting neighbors. There's the kind Miss Maudie Atkinson who makes the best cakes and offers wise advice. And then there's the Radley place. This is a dark old house that the children are terrified of. It's home to a mysterious man named Arthur Boo Radley, whom no one has seen in years. The neighborhood kids have created all sorts of spooky stories about him, imagining him as a monster who comes out at night. Boo Radley becomes a source of endless fascination and fear for Scout, Jem, and their new summer friend Dill. Every summer, a boy named Dill Harris comes to stay with his aunt next door. Dill has a huge imagination and a thirst for adventure, and he quickly becomes Scout and Jem's best friend. It's Dill who sparks the children's obsession with the Radley place. The three of them spend their long summer days dreaming up daring plans to make Boo Radley come outside. They are driven by a mixture of fear and intense curiosity about the man who lives in the shadows. This mystery of Boo Radley sets the stage for the first part of our story. a time of childhood games and innocent wonder before things in Maycomb begin to change. The mystery of Boo Radley is what fuels the children's imaginations during those long, hot Alabama summers. For Scout, Jem, and Dill, the Radley place is more than just a creepy old house. It's a grand stage for their adventures. They dare each other to touch the house. They create a play acting out the dramatic stories they've heard about Boo's life, and they try to pass him notes on the end of a fishing pole. Their main goal is simple and innocent. They just want to get a glimpse of the phantom who lives inside. They don't see him as a real person with feelings, but more as a character in a scary story they are creating together. Jem, being the oldest, often leads these expeditions. He is both fascinated and terrified by the idea of Boo. He describes Boo based on town gossip, painting a picture of a monstrous figure with yellow teeth and bulging eyes who dines on raw squirrels. Scout, being younger, is often swept up in Jem and Dill's daring plans even when she feels a sense of dread. Their games are filled with the thrill of the unknown, the kind of excitement that only childhood summers can bring. They are not trying to be mean. They are simply trying to solve the biggest mystery in their small town. Their actions are born out of a natural curiosity that all children possess. But something interesting begins to happen. As the children continue their games, small signs appear that suggest Boo Radley is not the monster they imagine. They start finding little gifts left for them in the knothole of an oak tree on the edge of the Radley property. First, they find 2 pieces of chewing gum, then 2 shiny old pennies, a ball of twine, and even 2 small soap figures carved to look exactly like them. These small, thoughtful presents are a quiet form of communication. Someone from inside the Radley house is watching them, not as a monster, but perhaps as a friend who wants to connect with them in the only way he knows how. These mysterious gifts begin to change the children's perspective, especially Jem's. He realizes that these are not random objects, but personal tokens left specifically for them. It slowly dawns on him that Boo Radley might be a kind and lonely person, not a scary phantom. The games start to feel less like a fun adventure and more like they are intruding on someone's privacy. Atticus warns them to leave Mr. Radley alone, reminding them that he has a right to his privacy. This is the first big lesson for the children. The stories people tell are not always true, and a person's real character is often hidden from view. Just as the children begin to see Boo Radley in a new light, the seasons in Maycomb begin to change, both literally and figuratively. The fun and games of summer give way to a more serious and somber mood that settles over the town. This shift happens when Atticus Finch agrees to take on a very difficult and unpopular case. He's asked to defend Tom Robinson, a kind and hardworking black man who has been falsely accused of a terrible crime against a white woman, Mayella Ewell. In the racially divided world of 1930s Maycomb, this is a case that most people believe Atticus has no chance of winning. This decision by Atticus changes everything for the Finch family. Many of the townspeople are angry with him for defending a black man. They say cruel things to him and about him. Scout and Jem have to face this ugliness at school and in their neighborhood. Children and adults alike taunt them, calling their father names and questioning his character. This is a confusing and painful time for the children. They have always known their father to be a good and respected man, and now they see him being treated with scorn. It's through this experience that they begin to see the deep-seated prejudice and racism that exists in their beloved hometown. Despite the town's disapproval, Atticus is unwavering in his commitment to justice. He explains to Scout that he has to take the case because it is the right thing to do. He tells her, "If I didn't, I couldn't hold up my head in town, I couldn't represent this county in the legislature, I couldn't even tell you or Jem not to do something again." He knows he will likely lose, but he believes that true courage is when you know you're licked before you begin, but you begin anyway, and you see it through no matter what. Atticus shows his children that courage isn't about winning a fight, but about standing up for your principles, even when you stand alone. The trial of Tom Robinson becomes the central event of the story. The innocent world of childhood games and mysterious neighbors is pushed aside by the harsh realities of hatred and injustice. Scout and Jem watch the trial from the balcony of the courthouse, a space reserved for the black community. From this vantage point, they witness their father's heroic effort to reveal the truth. They see him bravely challenge the lies and prejudices of the accusers, the Ewells. The courtroom becomes a classroom where Scout and Jem learn one of life's hardest lessons, that the fight for justice is not always fair, and that fear and hatred can make people blind to the truth. The trial scenes are some of the most powerful in the entire book. Atticus Finch stands before the jury and carefully, logically, and brilliantly dismantles the prosecution's case. He proves that Tom Robinson is a gentleman who is physically incapable of committing the crime he is accused of. He also shows that the accuser, Mayella Ewell, is a lonely, unhappy young woman who is being controlled by her cruel and abusive father, Bob Ewell. Atticus paints a clear picture of what really happened, appealing not just to the minds of the jury, but to their hearts and their sense of decency. He asks them to look past their prejudices and see the simple truth. From their seats in the balcony, Scout and Jem watch their father with a mixture of awe and anxiety. They see him as a hero, fighting a lonely battle for a good man's life. They listen to every word and feel the tension in the courtroom rise. For a moment, it seems like the truth might actually prevail. Atticus's closing argument is a plea for justice and equality, a call for the jury to do their duty and treat Tom Robinson as an equal human being. The evidence is overwhelmingly in Tom's favor, and for a brief hopeful instant, the children believe that their father will win. They believe that the people of Maycomb will choose to do the right thing despite their ingrained biases. But despite Atticus's powerful defense, the jury returns a verdict of guilty. The 12 white men on the jury cannot bring themselves to take the word of a black man over that of a white woman, no matter how clear the evidence is. This moment is a devastating blow to Jem, who had believed so strongly in the fairness of the justice system. He cries, not just for Tom, but for the loss of his own innocence. He sees the ugliness of his town for what it is, and it shatters his faith in people. The verdict shows that in Maycomb, the color of a person's skin matters more than the content of their character. A harsh lesson for a young boy to learn. This is where we learn the true meaning of the book's title. Earlier in the story, Atticus tells the children that it is a sin to kill a mockingbird. Miss Maudie explains why. Mockingbirds don't do one thing but make music for us to enjoy. They don't eat up people's gardens, don't nest in corn cribs. They don't do one thing but sing their hearts out for us. Tom Robinson is a mockingbird. He is an innocent, kind man who has done nothing but help others, and yet he is destroyed by the evil of racism and hatred. The verdict is not just an injustice, it is the senseless killing of an innocent being, a beautiful song silenced forever. The story does not end with the trial. The verdict sends ripples of consequence through Maycomb. Tom Robinson, losing all hope, is tragically killed while trying to escape from prison. Bob Ewell, despite winning the case, feels that Atticus has made a fool of him in front of the whole town. His anger and hatred fester, and he vows to get revenge on Atticus and his family. This threat hangs over the Finches, adding a layer of danger to their lives. The children learn that even when a battle is lost, its effects can linger, and that some people's hearts are too full of hate to ever see the light. They now have to live with the knowledge that their world contains real-life villains. One dark night, as Scout and Jem are walking home from a school pageant, Bob Ewell attacks them. In the terrifying struggle that follows, Jem's arm is broken and Scout is nearly harmed. But just when all seems lost, a mysterious figure emerges from the darkness to save them. He fights off Mr. Ewell and carries the injured Jem back to the Finch house. When Scout finally sees their rescuer standing in Jem's bedroom, she realizes it is none other than Arthur Boo Radley. The neighborhood phantom, the subject of their childhood fears and games, has been their guardian angel all along, watching over them from his window. In this moment, Scout finally understands the most important lesson her father has been trying to teach her. She sees Boo Radley not as a monster, but as a shy, kind, and incredibly brave man. He is another one of the story's mockingbirds, a gentle soul who has been harmed by the cruelty and misunderstanding of the outside world. He stayed inside his house not because he was a monster, but because he was quiet and different. By saving the children, he shows the ultimate courage. Scout walks him home, and as she stands on his porch, she looks at her neighborhood from his perspective. For the first time, she truly sees the world through his eyes, and that, my friends, is the beautiful, lasting message of To Kill a Mockingbird. It's a story that encourages us to practice empathy, to walk in someone else's shoes before we judge them. It teaches us that courage isn't about physical strength, but about standing up for what is right, even when it's hard. And it reminds us that innocence and goodness, like the song of a mockingbird, are precious things that must be protected. The story asks us to look for the goodness in others and to have the courage to defend it. So,